Council meeting, April 15th, 2024 at 6:04 p.m.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for some.
All right, tonight we have an invocation by Pastor David Barnes from Icon Church.
Out of loud books, that's not staying on. Okay, I'm gonna use my big voice. All right. Dear Father, we come before you just grateful and thankful. Father, tonight is a special night as we invite new members of our police department into the community. We invite Officer O'Connor, Officer Mendenhall, we invite their families into our community, and we're thankful to have them. Father, we lift them up to you for protection. We lift them up to you for blessing. Would you give their families a peace as they go out and protect our community? As every officer in here, would you bless their families? Would you give them a calm, thankful? God, we are so grateful and thankful that they would be willing to protect us, to go out and serve our community as every civil servant in here humbles themselves to come in here and do what's right for the Sumner community. So God, we are grateful. We are grateful for your undying love in our lives. God, I pray for just a calm and a peace as we come together tonight in unity as a community to create vision, to find a time to come together and just find a peace together at this time. So God, that's what I pray tonight. God, thank you. And would you bless this meeting? Would your hands be all over it? In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Potato,
Here.
Bowman,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Clairgett,
Here.
Cole. Here. Alfers.
Here.
Okay, we move on to oath of office. I call on Chief Baricki.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, staff, and our honored guests here tonight. It's my privilege and honor to be before you tonight to introduce you to two of Sumner's newest public safety officers, and to have you bear witness to their oath of office, and also ask you to help me in welcoming them to our Sumner community. First, I'd like to briefly introduce each of them. First is Kurt O'Connor. He's our new community service officer. Kurt grew up in Armagosa Valley, Nevada, where his mom served as a proud police dispatcher for Nye County Sheriff's Office. After high school, Kurt joined the U.S. Army, served 7 years active duty and 1 year as a reservist, as a food specialist and combatant instructor. And he was assigned to the 2nd Infantry Division. During his enlistment, Kurt served deployments in Kuwait, Iraq, and Kazakhstan. While in the Army, Kurt married his wife Ilian in 2010. And they moved to Washington in 2016 when Kurt accepted a position with the King County as a corrections officer, where he served in various roles, both in their housing units and as armed transports and court details. He also, coincidentally, had the opportunity to work with one of our current officers, Chase Vento, who was also a former King County corrections officer. And as if that wasn't enough connections, while he was in the State Criminal Justice Corrections Academy, Officer Brandon Anderson was his TAC officer. So it's kind of coming full circle for this young man. In 2022, he lateraled over to the city of Issaquah Police Department, to their city jail as a corrections officer, where he continued to work up until he accepted the position with our department as community service officer. Kurt and his wife Ilian make their home in Bonnie Lake, where they raise their 3 children, Austin, Ashton, and Aspen, who are all here tonight. and their three dogs, Dante, Timber, and Matilda. Next, I'd like to introduce Cody Mendenhall as our newest police officer. Cody grew up in Tacoma, graduated Mount Tacoma High School. In 2011, he also joined the U.S. Army, where he was a combat photographer attached to the 75th Ranger Regiment and Special Forces Group. And during his years of enlistment, he was deployed to Afghanistan and South Korea. Following his military service, Cody became a volunteer track coach with Tacoma Schools and a football coach, Tacoma Schools and a football coach at his alma mater, Mount Tacoma High School. Cody was later hired as a coach and campus safety officer with Puyallup School District, where he was a football coach at Puyallup High School. Later, he was hired by the Tacoma School District as a school patrol officer in East Tacoma, covering many schools, and coached football for Baker Middle School, and he also coaches youth football for the Graham Eagles. Cody and his wife Casey make their home in Tacoma, where Casey's a first grade teacher for the Tacoma schools, and they raised their 11-year-old son Cooper, who's also here tonight. I understand Cooper's very athletic, plays basketball, football, baseball, and keeps them very busy. So both of these individuals have demonstrated their character and their competence to hold these special positions of trust in our community. And as you can see, this is the Mendenhall family in the front, and we've got the O'Connor clan in the back, and family and friends. By this support they have of their family and friends to survive in this occupation. Now, with no further ado, I'd like to invite Mayor Hayden down to administer to each of them their oath of office. So, if you want to stand.
Raise your right hand. I, and state your name,
I, Kurt O'Connor,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States of America
that I'm a citizen of the United States of America
and the state of Washington,
and the state of Washington.
that I will support the Constitution
I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and laws of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
and the laws of the state of
and
Washington,
the laws of the state of Washington,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
skill, and ability,
skills, and ability,
truly, faithfully,
truly, faithfully,
diligently, impartially,
diligently, partially,
perform the duties of the office of Community Service Officer
perform duties of the community service officer
in and for the city of Sumner,
in and for the city of Sumner,
the county of Pierce,
county of Pierce,
state of Washington,
state of Washington.
as such duties
Such duties
are prescribed by law,
prescribed by law,
and will support and obey
and support and obey
the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics.
the law. And
Cody, ready? I, Cody Mendenhall,
I, Cody Mendenhall,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a citizen of the United States
that I am a citizen of the United States
of America and the state of Washington,
of America and the state of Washington,
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and laws of the United States
and the laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of the state of Washington,
of the state of Washington,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
and will, to the best of my judgment,
skill, and ability,
skill, and ability,
truly, faithfully,
truly, faithfully,
diligently, impartially,
diligently, impartially,
perform the duties
perform the duties
of the officer of the office of police officer.
of the office of a police officer
You did better than me. In and for the city of Sumner,
and for the city of Sumner,
county of Pierce,
county of Pierce,
state of Washington,
state of Washington,
as such duties are prescribed by law.
of such duties described by law,
and will support and obey
will support and obey
the law enforcement code.
the law enforcement code of ethics.
You can stay. You can stay in comments. Gentlemen, just come up right up here. So now you've taken your oath. Now it's tradition to pin your badge. They say to whom much is given, much is required. And from this moment on, while our badge, our patch is entrusted to you, you must commit to serving the greater good in the spirit of fairness, justice, and service. Always true to our guiding principles of teamwork, professionalism, integrity, and commitment, and to our law enforcement code of ethics. This badge that will be pinned on you by your loved one, it's not heavy until you put it on. And it's more than a badge of your authority. It's a symbol of trust, pride, integrity, and valor. You will wear it well to honor those that have served before you and for the reputation and honor of those that serve with you and that will serve after. So I'd like to invite up Kurt's wife, Ilian, and I'd like to invite up Chris Cody's son, Cooper, to pin their badge on our new officers. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would introduce you to our two newest officers, Community Service Officer O'Connor and Police Officer Menino. Thank you for participating with us tonight. This is a landmark or a hallmark in their young careers, and community support is so important. And I would invite the friends and family to join us over in our police department facilities to celebrate this milestone in their career. And thank you. Councilman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Proud. No, it's fine.
Okay. We're going to move on to a proclamation, Arbor Day proclamation from, we will invite up our Community Services Manager, Derek Berry.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight for the proclamation of Arbor Day and celebrating the tree city designation. Whereas the City of Sumner Forestry and Parks Commission promotes the responsible planting and maintenance of trees on public and private property. And whereas the citizens of Sumner highly value their environmental quality and promote the planting of trees as well as enhance the park system. And whereas the City of Sumner recognizes that trees reduce air pollution, improve aesthetic value, provide shelter from wind and rain, provide animal and bird habitat, reduce noise, pollution, save energy, enhance property values, and provide privacy. And whereas the planting of trees promotes community pride and enhances the character of the city and its neighborhoods. And whereas Arbor Day is a nationally recognized celebration of trees and tree planting. And whereas Sumner is celebrating its 30th year as a tree city as designated by the National Arbor Foundation. Therefore be it resolved that the City of Sumner proclaims April 26, 2024 as Arbor Day and requests that all citizens join us and celebrate our trees, our parks, and our continued commitment to environmental stewardship. I also want to share that we do have our Arbor Day planting this Saturday, April 20th from 9 to 11 on Silver Street. We'll be planting 36 to 40 Persian ironwoods.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Item number 1, conduit lease agreement. Item 2, resolution number 1680, stormwater capacity grant acceptance. Item 3, resolution number 1679, transportation improvement board grant acceptance, sidewalk repair program. Item 4, video surveillance system contract, Security Solutions Northwest. Item 5, operations facility north parcel, construction contract award. And item 6, approval of the minutes from the April 1st, 2024 regular council meeting and the April 8th, 2024 study session.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Cole, would you like to make a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Yes, I move to adopt the consent agenda of today, April 15th, 2024.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Bowman. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Would any member like to remove an item off of the consent agenda? All right, seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? This is unanimous. Okay. We have no public hearing tonight, so we move on to regular business, unfinished business. Resolution number 1677, equipment surplus authorization. Councilmember Botetto, would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 1677, equipment surplus authorization.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Elfers. And I will call on Administrative Services Director Jeff Steffens.
Good evening. The city has recently purchased a new vac truck and has no need for our old vehicle, which has reached the end of its useful life and has been deemed surplus by our Public Works Department. In accordance with state law, a public hearing was held on this item at the April 1st council meeting. Tonight, I am asking that you approve Resolution 1677, which would surplus Sumner Unit 33-118, which is a 2013 International VacCon with an estimated value of $100,000.
Thank you. So since we had a public hearing on this, we'll have no public comment. Is there any comment from the council on this item? All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Bowman,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Elfers,
Yes.
Brown, Clairget.
Yes.
All right, passes unanimous. Okay, so move on to public comment. Michelle, could you please read the rules for public comment?
This is the time for you to address the mayor and the council as a whole regarding items that are not on the agenda. When the mayor calls your name, please approach the podium. And if you're participating via Zoom, use the raise your hand or telephonically press *9. Before you begin your remark, please state your name and address or the city in which you reside for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. And as a reminder, public comment is not a time for the council. Public comment is a time for the council to hear from you and not a time to engage in back and forth. If you have a specific question, the mayor may direct you to the appropriate staff member for further discussion.
Thank you. I have 3 people signed up. First one, Randall Adams.
Randall Adams, 63rd Street, Court East. In court this last month, the city's attorney stated, and I paraphrase, "We don't know why we're being stopped from demolishing this old building, as there are a lot of old buildings in downtown that will be demolished. to which Judge Rumbaugh said the difference is the Ryan House is included in your comp plan stating you're going to restore it and the importance of its history in Sumner, whereas restoration of the other buildings are not noted. So in order to demo it, you're going to have to change your comp plan with mandatory public engagement in that process. This is what the city does not do, public engagement. These 3 minutes are not public engagement. They are instead for stating disapproval of being shut out of the process that has been going on for 15 months without mandatory public engagement and is the continuation of the failed processes used by the city last year. This process led to your loss in court and is setting you up for another battle in courts instead of complying with the court order and seeking public engagement. We know you have the ability to engage as you did so with your tourism committee last year. Instead, this comp plan was done by the shadow government Burke Consulting, who represent a dozen state entities, Commerce, Pierce County, Pierce Transit, and Sound Transit. Commerce is now proposing income-based zoning, allocating low-income housing to cities where it is more feasible, i.e. those without political clout or just say Sumner. Who is Burke working for when they come here? Not Sumner. This comp plan is only trying to help those entities, those large entities, not the citizens of Sumner or our history, and certainly without the mandated public engagement. Try a questionnaire with the citizens of Sumner and ask if they want their downtown turned into a row of apartments with no parking available, with citizens paying for the tax breaks to ruin historic downtown Sumner with apartments and see what happens. You would see that the public engagement looks like. Downtown is a big part of why we live in the small town oasis that is Sumner. Why there is a general demand for people to live here and has been for over 100 years. In the park plan, the city did reach out for questions for citizens, yet was bypassed. They bypassed the white elephant in the room. Why didn't you straightforwardly ask, what should we do with the Ryan House? Were you afraid of what the response would be with actual public engagement, especially after having shown all the funds you will be spending on other parks in town? Considering the court's decision, now is the time to remove the posted notice on the Ryan House fence that is no longer truthful, is misleading, and defines what misinformation is. In the comp plan meeting on April 4th, it was stated for the purpose of decorum, our 3 minutes could not be given to anyone else to complete a statement. Statements were to be our own and no signage was to be allowed to be shown. Has there been a new procedure adopted for meetings that the city council voted on to restrict public comments? Why aren't those committee meetings on the web so everybody else can hear what is being said at them later when they can't actually attend them in person?
All right. Melody Adams Forstrom.
May I turn my minutes over to Randy?
If you defer your time, then he's speaking on his own behalf unless he makes it clear that these are your words.
No, they wouldn't be my words. Okay, so I'll go ahead and speak. Okay, so I'm Melody Adams Forstrom. I live in Federal Way right now. I did live for 24 years in Bonnie Lake, and I'm very familiar with Ryan House. I think a lot of the time has been spent on both sides, kind of like pointing the finger at one another. And I'd like to suggest that perhaps we try and work together to the better good of the community. And there's a lot of good to be done in saving the house. And I know the city wants there to be a park. And I say, why not do both? Have the house and the park. And I envision like there's a holly tree that's been cut really bad. And they were talking about it's Arbor Day today. Well, how about installing or implanting a parallel to it, another holly tree? And they've been celebrating Christmas at the holly tree for like about 75 years. Wouldn't it be great to bring back that celebration for the community? And bringing people together would also bring people to go to the businesses in Sumner. And wouldn't that be good for Sumner and the people of Sumner, as well as doing other activities? Because I thought in my mind, one room could be set up where there's a computer game called, I think it's called Wagon Train. And you become a member of the Wagon Train to see if you make it to the destination. And not only is there a computer game, there's also a board game. Have one room for that. Also for the outfits of the time, maybe have a wagon train in the back part of the property, but really enhance the property. I also thought another idea would be to plant some rhubarb plants. And, you know, they can be ornamental or grow 'em. And I mean, this is supposed to be rhubarb capital, right? It would be beautiful. Let's work together. Let's see how we can do it together. Anyways, that's my put.
Thank you. Nick Bierman.
How they answered any of your questions.
Still on, right? Okay. So I'm Nick Bierman, I'm from Cleveland East. I will echo some of the same sentiments that both Melody and Randy expressed about working together. But first I want to address the sign that's in front of the Ryan House right now that's on the fence. How the sign specifically states that misinformation is swirling around the community, but the sign itself is now a sign of misinformation. And the sign should be replaced. The sign should say that the demolition permit is no longer valid, that it was revoked. And why don't we replace the sign with a notice that says where the public can provide input on what they want for the future of the Ryan House and Lucy V. Ryan Park, which is the official designation of that space. So I think that would be an opportunity for the public to become more involved and have direct involvement in deciding the future of the Ryan House. Instead, the city seems to be intent on continuing down the road of rushing through the comp plan and rushing through the Parks and Trails plan with limited opportunity for public input. And we're showing up at these meetings because we're trying to voice our opinions during the limited amounts of public input that we have. So we've got an opportunity to reset and take in more community input. And I really think we should do that. We should make use of that time. We've been given the gift of time. And I think we should make use of that and have more opportunities for all of us as a community to get together and talk about this. And one other thing I'd like to address here too is that council members and city staff in the past have stated that we have some of the best financial people at our hands and some of the best grant writers in the city here. A lot of work was done to secure the over $1.5 million in grants that the Ryan House Rehabilitation Project had already been designated. We can restart that process and work together. We can start looking for either sources of funding that are still available, like the Heritage Capital Project. There's still some funds that are available for that. We can also look at existing funds that the city has access to that could be allocated to the Ryan House. And we can continue to work with partners that are out there, not just in the community, but also in the area, in the county and the state level. Even private partners, we could start to look toward other sources of funding that may be available. Now we've been given that opportunity. We've got the time to look at what else is out there. And why don't we make best use of that instead of continuing down the path and just going back to where we were before? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I have on my list. Is there anybody else out in the audience that wants to speak? Anybody online? See nobody? Okay. We are moving on to new business. We have a ton of reappointments for commissions and committees. First one. Reappointment to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee for Dean Burke. I call on Carmen, I guess.
Mayor, can we get a motion first?
What's that? Do we have a motion to Councilmember Clerget, would you like to make a motion?
I'd like to make motion to reappoint to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Dean Burke.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Bowman. All right, now we have Carmen.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It is my annual visit here before you for the reappointment of our Lodging Tax Advisory Committee. By state law, we do this annually, so that's why you get to see me once a year on this. We have 4 separate reappointments, but I will only give you the long spiel for the first one, but it applies to all 4. All of these are reappointments. These are all individuals who have served on our Lodging Tax Advisory Committee before. Per state law, there's quite a bit the state has to say about managing your lodging tax. And in Sumner, it is quite unique. This is the one county in the state where there's this little quirk in the state law where if you didn't form your own Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, LTAC for short, by 1997, most of your funds continued to go to the county. So back then, we did not have the hotels up on the interchange. We did not have an interchange, I don't think. So we had never formed our own LTAC. So even when we got those hotels, 7% is collected on a room night, 5% goes to Pierce County, 2% comes to the city of Sumner as a shared occupancy tax. It's a state shared revenue. The state laws over spending that still fall under the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee rules. So even though the bulk of our funding goes to Pierce County and we apply for it and our other partners apply for it over at Pierce County, we still have to follow the rules of this committee to allocate and spend that 2% that comes to the city. So with that, the state mandates that you have at least 5 people. One is the chair, who is a council member. This year in your committee selection process, I believe that's Councilmember Botetto. Thank you for taking that up. You also have 2 people who collect the tax. So those are 2 hoteliers or 2 people who run short-term rentals. In our case, it's 2 hoteliers. And then you have 2 people representing the destination marketing organizations that could potentially use the funds. So that is the one before you first, and that is Dean Burke, the CEO of Travel Tacoma Mount Rainier Tourism and Sports. He is working on shortening that name so that it actually fits on a business card. Dean has been a great partner with the city of Sumner. Lots of work for us. In fact, with one meeting, I was telling him he needs to tell our businesses a little more, all that he and his team are doing to generate overnight stays here in Sumner. And that's the other thing I want to mention. The reason all this effort is put behind generating overnight stays is not because we're supporting the hotel industry. It's because the best way you can get people visiting your city to spend way more money in food, in souvenirs, in different independent businesses in your community is to get them to spend at least one night. So that's why all the encouragement, keep saying heads and beds, but it's actually one step beyond that is why we're doing all of this. It's not just to put the heads in the beds. So I am happy to have Dean Burke back for another year representing Travel Tacoma Mount Rainier.
Thank you. So any comments from the public on this? Seeing none. Any comments from the council? Seeing none. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Cole,
Yes.
Clerget,
Yes.
Brown, Potato,
Yes.
Elfers,
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Passes unanimous. Now we move down to the reappointment to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee for Trevor Sutton.
Yes, and Trevor Sutton is a collector of the tax. He
Excuse
manages
me.
the Candlewood Inn and
Carmen,
Suites.
could we get a motion first? Thank you.
Do we have a motion to,
I would like to make a motion to reappoint to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee Trevor Sutton.
thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Elfers. Sorry, Carmen, go ahead.
That was a test, see if anyone was paying attention.
Mhm.
Where does Trevor manage? He is the manager of the Candlewood Inn and Suites in Sumner, which collects the tax. Everything else I said before still applies.
All right. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the council?
Nope.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Elfers,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Clerget,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Brown.
Thank you. Passes unanimous. Next one, reappointment to Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Maylee Anderson. Councilmember Elfers, would you like to make a motion?
I would. I'd like to make a motion to reappoint to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Melee Anderson.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Bowman. Any comments from the public?
And if I can just.
Mayor, may,
Go ahead.
Maylee Anderson is the marketing guru behind the second destination marketing organization that well represents Sumner, and that's Visit Rainier. She is amazing using statistics, using marketing strategies to actually drive overnight stays and track them. So we are very, just like with Dean, we are very pleased to have her be a partner for Sumner and for her continued service.
Very good. Any comments from the public? Council, comments from the council? Nope. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown,
Yes.
Elfers,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Flanagan.
Yes.
This is unanimous. Okay, reappointment to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee for Carmelo Lopez. Councilmember Potato, would you like to make a motion?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to reappoint to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Carmelo Lopez.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Cole. Communications Director, Carmen Palmer.
Surprise. Carmelo Lopez is the manager of the Sumner Holiday Inn and Suites and Express. I knew I'm missing a word in there, Holiday Inn Express and Suites. Just like Trevor, both their input has been invaluable. You have ideas of what could generate overnight stays, but until you actually talk to the people who are booking people in every day and every night, that you really can't make up for that perspective of hearing exactly what's going on at the hotel and what's bringing people to Sumner. So we are pleased to have Carmelo Lopez back on our Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Great. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the council? All right.
Would you like to
Michelle,
take a
could you
vote?
Please call the roll.
Elfers,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Brown.
All right, passes unanimous. Okay, appointment to the Salary Commission, Georgia Lomax. We call up for Jeff. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion for the appointment to the Salary Commission being Georgia Lomax.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Jeff Steffens.
Good evening. Tonight, the mayor will be seeking the appointment of 3 different salary commissioners. I will follow Carmen's lead and just give you the spiel once. So the powers and duties of the salary commissioner are outlined in chapter 2.85 of the Sumner Municipal Code. Salary commissioners serve for 5-year terms and set the salaries for elected officials of the city. Any change in salary filed by the commission with the city clerk shall become effective and incorporated into the city budget without further action by the city council. Salary increases established by the commission shall become effective to the incumbent city elected officials regardless of their terms in office. Salary decreases established by the commission shall become effective as to incumbent city elected officials at the commencement of their next subsequent terms in office. So first, the mayor is seeking the appointment of Georgia Lomax to the Salary Commission. Ms. Lomax serves on the city's Civil Service Commission, is a member of both the Sumner Rotary and the United Way of Pierce County, and is a retired library director.
Thank you. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the council? All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Bowman,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Elfers.
Yes.
Thank you. Passes unanimous. Moving down to the Salary Commission for Brian Anderson.
I'd like to make a motion to appoint the salary commission Brian Anderson.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Bowman and Jeff Stebbins.
Thank you. The mayor is seeking the appointment of Brian Anderson to the Salary Commission. Mr. Anderson is a retired environmental engineer with the Boeing Company. He is on the Sumner Civil Service Commission, is a member of the Sumner Rotary, and the vice president of the Sumner Community Food Bank.
Thank you. All right. Any comments from the public? Any comments from the council? Seeing none. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Clairgett,
Yes.
Alfers,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Bowman.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, on to Michael Dobbs, assignment, appointment to the Salary Commission. Member Elfers, would you like to make?
I
a
would.
motion?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint to the Salary Commission, Michael Dobb.
And do I have a second?
I second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Cole. Administrative Services, Jeff Stebbins.
Thank you. Last and certainly not least, the mayor is seeking the appointment of Michael Dobb to the Salary Commission. Mr. Dobb is a retired superintendent of recreation for Pierce County, a member of Sumner's Civil Service Commission, and enjoys being part of the public process to give back to his community.
Thank you. Last one, any comments from the public? Any comments from the council? Seeing none, would the clerk please call the roll?
Potato,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clairgett,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Alfers.
Yes.
Great, passes unanimous. Whew. All right, moving on to our last item on our agenda, council vacancy. Deputy Mayor Cole, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I would. I move to suspend Council Rule 24.4 and 24.5 by utilizing the list of council member applicants from the February 2024 process and amend Rule 24.6 to conduct the nomination and appointment process at a special council meeting to be held next Monday, April 22nd.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Seconded by
I'll second it.
Councilmember Potato. I call on City Administrator Jason Wilson.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As a reminder, Councilmember Stewart resigned from his position effective March 27th. That resignation was based on his planned move out of state to be closer with his family. Your council rules under Resolution 1624 set forth the process for appointing a new council member. That process includes an application, an interview, a nomination, and an appointment process. At the April 8th study session, council expressed their desire to suspend the rules and use the recent list of candidates from the February recruitment, which was used to fill former councilmember Hochstetter's seat. Further, the nomination appointment process could occur at the April 22nd special council meeting. Since April 8th, we did reach out to the 5 remaining applicants, who are Nick Bierman, Donna Maynard, William Moody, Chris Pierce, and Greg Ranke. Ms. Maynard has withdrawn her name due to some personal reasons going on in her life right now. All other candidates expressed that they would still be interested in an appointment. So I'm happy to answer any questions about process and turn it back over to you, Mayor.
Do you have any questions for Jason before he? No? All right. Any comments from the public on this? No? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Brown,
Yes.
Alfers,
Yes.
Clairgett,
Yes.
Bowman,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay,
Mayor, could you announce the vote, please?
6-0. Last item on our agenda is executive session.
Actually, Mayor, council reports are the next item on the agenda.
Oh, the council reports, yes. Okay, we will go to council reports. Mr. Brown, do you have a report? What?
Commissions and committees are an important part in all decisions made in Sumner. I'd like to thank all the citizens who have volunteered for either of these.
Thank you. Councilmember Potato.
Yeah, just want to welcome the two new police officers. I know that the department has had a challenge getting new hires, so it's good to see they've got most of the people they need. And then on April 30th, there's a community summit that will be at Calgary Church, and it's supported by the school district. And I would encourage all people in the community to take part. And there's information that you can find at CFF Community Summit 2024.
Councilmember Cole.
I do not have a report tonight. Thank you.
Councilmember Alphonse.
I just want to thank everybody who went to the parade a couple weeks ago, even though it was rainy. I thought that was really wonderful. And thank you for the new folks who are joining the police department. It's great to have a really nice police department in the city. So we really appreciate those guys. And then also the folks who are on the committees and commissions. It's really a really important function. It's not a paid function, but we do need that in the community. So thank you for that. Also want to just acknowledge the folks who are coming up every week for the Ryan House. Thank you for coming consistently and talking to us. And we're listening. I want to just reiterate that the city is not opposed to the Ryan House. The city spent more than 5 years trying to figure out how to save the Ryan House. So I just want to make sure that's acknowledged. I know that's not talked about very much. So we are hearing your concerns, appreciate your consistency, and yeah, this is the time to collaborate. We have quite a bit of time between now and when the comprehensive plan is done. So please, if we can just try to stay collaborative, that'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bowman.
Yes, I would say ditto, ditto, ditto plus. I'd like to thank Pastor David Barnes for the invocation. That's a critical element of my life, and I value the fact that he comes freely down one block and walks in and does that for us. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate the working together attitude. I think it helps everybody actually hear what's being said instead of kind of feeling like the wall is there. So I appreciate that. I too welcome the two new police officers, the community resource officer and the police officer coming in to Sumner. I've actually got quite a few law enforcement people in my own family, current and retired. So I think that's value added to the community. And I also appreciate the staff and everything they do here. I think sometimes they get I'm just going to use layman terms, a bum rap when it's not deserving. And so I appreciate everything they do to keep this city running. So again, thank you all for coming and continuing to talk to us, as Andy said. So we appreciate it. Thanks.
Councilmember Cleary.
I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. City Administrator Jason Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for your comments tonight. Coming up at next week's meeting, we'll start off with a special council meeting, as you just heard, to appoint a new council member. And then we'll go into a study session after that to discuss sewer pretreatment regulations, as well as an update on the wastewater treatment facility biosolids dryer project, which is a significant capital improvement at our wastewater treatment facility. April 29th happens to be the 5th Monday, so there will be no meeting. Thank you, Councilmember Potato, for plugging the summit on the next day on the 30th. May 4th, we'll be starting our budget process for 2025-2026 with our budget retreat, which will be held from 9 to 3 at the YMCA. The next regular council meeting, which is May 6th, assuming you appoint somebody next week at your special council meeting, you'll swear them in on May 6th. Then there's two proclamations, one for National Public Works Week, the second for Peace Officers Memorial Week. You'll also be holding a public hearing for the 2024 Parks and Trail Plan update and considering a resolution authorizing an updated interlocal agreement with the Rainier Cable Commission. Then 3 ordinances. The first is going to amend the personnel policies related to seasonal and temporary workers. The second is the ordinance adopting the sewer pretreatment regulations that you'll be discussing, and then an ordinance amending the transportation impact fees. Also on May 6th, after your regular council meeting, we're going to have a special study session, and that's to get an update and kind of a review of the history of the Ryan House. So encourage everybody to attend. I also want to point out that the sign matter we were already working on, and that sign should be replaced as soon as we get it. So it'll just give a more generic QR code that'll tell people how to engage with the city and get an update on that house. The commission updates. The Planning Commission is holding a public hearing on the proposed 2024 Parks and Trail Plan update this Thursday at 6 p.m. here in this room. On the development front, pleased to announce that the Riverfront Mixed Use Development Project did pull their building permit. This is the multifamily mixed-use development across from McClendon's on Friar Avenue. That includes 123 apartment units. I also want to just spend a few minutes tonight. We've heard for several weeks now about Heritage Park and the fountain and the bricks. And we've talked to a lot of people about that over probably the last 6 months to a year. Also posted on our website multiple times about that, but wanted to spend a few minutes in case people have not found that on our website to explain what we know. So the Main Street Vision process, which was held in 2021, highlighted the need for 3 things to help make our downtown more vibrant. First is activated alleys, a redesign of Heritage Park, and an update to the Main Street streetscape. We've been actively working on the alley activation and Heritage Park redesign. Both were conceptually designed last year and are in final design this year. Last year, we also began the critical process of upgrading our water and sewer utility lines, which were badly needed in some really poor condition in the oldest part of town. Those are those utility lines that run under Kincaid and Cherry. To do that, obviously, we had to tear up Kincaid and Cherry, but we also had to tear up the point of the park, which included Heritage, the fountain. I think it's important to understand that the fountain was also in pretty bad shape. If you go onto our website right now, onto our Sumner Connects page, there's a photo with the water not running, and you can see how bad of shape it is. And the cement was cracked and the tiles were cracked. Additionally, as we've mentioned before, it was constantly vandalized. It was improperly used by people in our community. The plaques were extremely brittle. In fact, we had replaced a couple of them over the years, and those that were still left were completely unreadable, and most shattered when they were tried to remove them. Interesting though, when we went through the records, it appears that there were 2 separate Heritage Park projects, and they're getting kind of commingled here. So first, there's a long list of donors that gave money to help out build the park in 25 years ago. And like I said, it's a very long list, but I'll name some of the donors since I know there are people that have been interested in this, and those included Marion Fox, Ken Woolery, Jerry Yoder, the Peterson Brothers, Sumner Fire Department, Terry Flippin, Parametrics, DM Disposal, Doug and Kathy Hayden. These are just a few examples. The list is extremely long. Reuben Knobloch actually gave the lead gift that bought the land and started the park, which is why his name is on the park itself. Building the park included the hill, the flagpoles, the benches, gazebo, the fountain, and the fountain that was designed to honor the original families in Sumner. The second project was another park fundraiser, and this was the brick project, where anyone could buy a brick and have it engraved for $35. Back then, a lot of people were encouraged to donate, including some of the names on the family, and that's why they probably made the direct gift. Some of them bought bricks, some of them just gave their funds. During the utility upgrade, the bricks had to be removed as well because they were located behind the fountain. I think it's important to remind everybody that these were not solid traditional bricks. These were veneer bricks. So as they were removed, many of them did break. However, when we did this project, we did commit to returning the names to the park, both the names that were on the fountain as well as those that donated funds for the bricks themselves. And we're not exactly sure how that's going to look. Like I mentioned earlier, we're in the design phase of the new park. It's going to include a building and many other amenities. So there's going to be other opportunities to include the names in a different way. However, because we are probably a few years out, we have been exploring over the last few months of how do we bring back something in a more temporary manner to recognize those names. And we're working through that process now. There'll probably be some sort of temporary signage. Like I mentioned, we have posted all this on our rumors page twice now. We've also included in some e-news, but I want to make sure that if you're not subscribed to our e-news, if you're not checking our website, that we could give you all an update and the listening public an update. So hopefully that answers some questions and provides some additional clarity on this matter. I'm happy to answer any questions from council.
Any questions for Jason? No? Go ahead, Hoda.
So I noticed that they're running cable around town. Is that for the city or is that a private, like, can I tap into those?
Yeah, that's a great question. So there are a number of fiber projects going on in the city right now. I think there's 3 different fiber companies that are putting it either aerial or in the ground. All of it is private, but I anticipate they will be hitting the market to the consumer market here in the near future. I know the city we've already signed up with Astound, and we're going to be a benefit of one of those 3 companies, but there's 2 other companies also in town right now.
Thank you.
You have a question?
No, but a comment.
Okay.
Thank you for that. For me personally, I found that value added to hear and hear what you shared. So it has helped me understand a few things. So thank you for sharing that very much. And as far as the cable, it is 3. I know my next door neighbor is signing up with not the same one the city is signing up with on the 29th of this month, because he came over today and said if he signs up and he recommends me and I sign up, we each get $100. So that's how I know what's going on. It's the neighbors talking. So anyway, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, Jason. So thank you for everyone who participated in the Daffodil Parade last week, including our council. Thank you, guys. Tomorrow is our spring open house from 5 to 7 right here at City Hall. During the open house, the police department will have pizza and pop to share while they chat with you informally about public safety over at the police station. Wednesday is a pickup day for extra garbage and yard waste in Sumner, if you're a customer of Murray's Disposal. Thursday, the Planning Commission is holding a public hearing for our updated Parks and Trail Plan at 6 p.m. here in City Hall. And on Saturday, Sumner High School is hosting the Community Cultural Celebration. We will be there. We're also having a hygiene drive for this year's Community Summit. You can drop hygiene items off in by the police station in City Hall there. We're collecting things like soap, shampoo, toothpaste, and other items at City Hall. And it's kind of a little competition between Sumner and Bonnie Lake. It's the valley against the hill. So as far as the meeting goes, I'm going to adjourn the regular meeting, and we will be going into a study session or to a executive session per 42.30.110(1)H for a period of 15 minutes, and there will be no action to follow. It is 7:02. Thank you.